Okay, now, is everybody ready for this? All right, here we go. Ta-da! Glasses teching is back again. Oh yeah, I was gonna go the extra mile and dye my hair pink for this Koby video, but the only hair dye I had on standby was this orange stuff. So, great if I wanted to be Ichigo, or the kid from the volleyball manga. Yeah, I know it's called Haikyuu. I don't know the name of the main character off the cuff, but I know it's Haikyuu. So there we go. Haikyuu, the main character of Haikyuu. Yes. Honestly, I gotta be straight up with you all. I kind of wish I wore glasses every now and then. Like I actually needed glasses. Most of the time I don't, but every time when I have to wear glasses for a video, I'm like, you know what? I look kind of cool with glasses. Let me know if you have to wear glasses. Do you like it? Do you like wearing glasses? Do you ever, like, I'm sure it'd be annoying every once in a while, and I'm sure you get used to it, but, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, man, I wish I never had glasses, or you're like, you know what? Yeah, I really like glasses. Makes it look cool. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. My mom has horrible eyesight, so I could have very easily, if it went a different way, I could have had really, really bad eyesight, but I ended up with my dad's, and his is pretty good. Okay. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about Koby. Koby, the hero of the Marines, the fist of a new generation. Actually, we have to, throw out new titles for Koby, because yes, he is a hero, but he's a little bit of a different hero from Garp. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking of calling Koby the noble hero of the Marines, whereas Garp was just an ordinary hero. Koby is a noble hero. He stands for truth and justice and all of that stuff, right? And as for the fist, let's go with the honest fist. He fists but for honesty, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. All right, so last chapter, my God, it's really epic. And I've thrown this out there before. I've said this, but like Koby really is like the protagonist of One Piece if it was focused in the Marines instead. Like if Oda ever wanted to do a spin-off manga where it focused on Marines, you could easily do that with Koby. And that's the cool way that Oda writes his characters. It's like all of the adventures that Luffy has had with the Straw Hats over the last 2+ years, Koby has had similar adventures in the Marines, to the point where if you were going to do like if they were going to do a One Piece movie all focused on Koby, I would watch that. If they were going to do like a Gaiden, like a side story, like a 6-episode miniseries based off of Koby, I would love that. I mean, I think that would be a really fascinating angle to take it. And it also just opens up the pathways for like when One Piece, like the manga, finally concludes. There are so many different avenues that you could take to expand this universe, okay? You could do a prequel series with Roger. You could do a side-by-side series, like a similar, it wouldn't be as long as like the actual One Piece manga, but you could showcase like while Luffy and the Straw Hats were doing all their crazy adventures, this is what Koby was up to in the Marines with Helmeppo and Garp and Prince Groose and Kujaku and Hibari and how they met and everything like that. There's some really good applications for this, okay? But in the last chapter, it was Garp, metaphorically, but also very literally passing the torch. I guess not literally. Garp literally takes a piece of wood off of Hachinosu. Vasco shoots a fireball at him. Garp lights it on fire. And he's like, all right, Koby, here, hold this torch. I'm going to stay behind. So I guess not literally, but Garp stays behind. And as he's laughing and as Aokiji is freezing him solid as all the other 10 Titanic captains are looking on, Koby and Prince Groose, Kujaku, Hibari, they all managed to escape the island, as well as all the prisoners that were on Hachinosu. They all managed to get away. So Garp is happy because mission accomplished in terms of his perspective. Also, it goes back to the lesson that Garp was teaching the young Marines back at Marineford when Koby was still a chore boy. Koby and Helmeppo were both there. And he's like, listen, all right, if you have to choose as a Marine, if you have to choose between an old man and a baby, and they're on an island filled with wild beasts about to devour them, then you need to leave the old man behind. Kick him in the ground, like slam him into a tree, and then get out of there, right? Yeah, so, right. And, you could bring up a lot of different, like, caveats and particulars with that scenario, because it's like, I've seen a bunch of them. Like, the first one I came up with was pretty obvious. It's like, wait a second, if you had to pick between an old man and a baby, and the boat is only big enough to hold 2 people, well, babies don't take up, like, put the baby on top of your head or something like that and just sail away that way. It's easy, right? Somebody else brought up, it made sense, was just like, well, you need the Marine there, because Koby's idea was like, I would just stay behind on the island with wild beasts, and then the old man and the baby could escape. But without the Marine there to properly navigate, you better hope that old man used to be a navigator back in the day, and his eyesight's still pretty good, because you're going to get lost, okay? But the scenario, you're not supposed to overthink the scenario. The scenario is not even like, that's not the whole point of Garp saying it. The whole idea was more metaphorical. It was, you are the younger generation of the Marines. You are going to be the ones that are going to carry on and, you know, fight the pirates, okay? I'm part of the older generation. So therefore, I am more expendable, all right? And you know what? That is Garp to a T. Garp, his entire life, he's been brawling with pirates, beating them down, and he fought with the best of them, okay? But I would imagine at a certain point in Garp's life, might have been a little bit after Roger was executed. Maybe Garp really had some, he had an epiphany. He had a moment. Maybe after Garp was executed, not after Garp was executed, after Roger was executed, Garp maybe traveled the world a little bit, and he thought about some things, and maybe he fell into a little bit of malaise at this. You know, he was getting on in years and everything, and now Roger is gone, and the older generation is getting more and more older, and so maybe he realized, you know what, my goal should be to motivate and train the younger generation. That's the whole point. That is why I am still a Marine, okay? And you really get the impression that was Garp's driving force for the last couple of decades, okay? And like I said, I don't think it was just Koby and Helmeppo that he found and was just like, oh, you two are going to be great Marines. No, I think Garp kind of traveled all over the world, and anytime he saw anybody that showed a little bit of promise, and it didn't have to be physical. It didn't have to be like, you know, oh man, this guy's punching out giant mountains. He'll make a great Marine someday. Might have been something like that. But Koby and Helmeppo, they showed heart. Koby risked his life to save Helmeppo, even going against the Marines that could easily kill him. You know, like Bogart and everything. Like, you know, Koby grabs the pistols and he's just like, you can't sink that ship with Morgan and Helmeppo. Helmeppo's my friend. Get away. And then Bogart shows up and he's like, okay, kid, just slices up the pistols like not a big deal. It's like, we're not playing around here, okay? Something like that. So Koby showed heart there, and even Helmeppo stood up to his dad at the end of the day. And so Garp saw that, and he's just like, all right, you two are going to make good Marines someday. It's going to be a lot of hard work because you are really, you know, Helmeppo's really scrawny and Koby's kind of out of shape. But you know what? You're going to be great Marines someday, all right? And so then the adventure begins. Now, we got a little bit of this in the diary of Koby Meppo on how they, you know, initially joined the Marines. We also got, I think it was, it might have been in Django's story or something else later, but there was a later story that showcased Helmeppo and Koby in the background, and they were like training and they were getting stronger. But they didn't really pop back up into the story again until post Enies Lobby, when they showed up at Water 7, and then Koby was a lot more fit at this point, and he knew some basic Rokushiki techniques and everything like that. So for right now, I wrote down some stuff here on Koby's journey that I would love to learn more about, okay? Whether it be in the mainstream manga or in like maybe a sequel series or like a side cool series or whatever you want to call it, right? So first and foremost, we know the basics of Garp and Bogart, like training Helmeppo and Koby. But I want to learn about their first mission, their first proper mission. I like to think they were probably supervised with this. It might have been a situation where maybe Garp was hanging out at HQ, or maybe they were traveling somewhere in the Grand Line, and they were like, there's some low-rank pirates over on that island causing a ruckus. And maybe he ordered Bogart to take Helmeppo and Koby and like, go and show them how it's done, Bogart. You know, and Garp's eating his donuts or whatever, and Bogart's just like, all right, okay. Koby, Helmeppo, come on, we're going. This is back when they're still like chore boys at this point. Maybe after a couple of months of training and being chore boys, Zatsuyos, and like, you know, they're lifting some weights. They're just a little bit like they haven't had any real battle experience, but best way to learn is to do it. You know what I mean? So Bogart takes Koby and Helmeppo to this, maybe it's a small little town in the middle of this island. It's no real consequence. Maybe some small time, not even pirates maybe just some small time bandits or something are causing some problems here, like a Higama type of group, okay? So Bogart walks in and he kind of sizes up all of the bandits, and they're in the bar and they're getting drunk, and they're like, what the hell do you want, you Casablanca looking? And then Bogart's looking around and he's like, all right, tell you what, Koby, Helmeppo, I'm going to take care of their boss. I'll take care of the boss, don't worry. These other sad-looking drunks that are around here that are just bandits, you know, that are armed with, like, nothing but knives, You guys could take care of those. Oh, and Koby and Helmeppo are like, wait, what, huh? Just, it's okay. Just do what Garp and I taught you, and then you'll be fine, all right? And I'll be here in case they're about to, slit your throat. I'll be able to stop it. Slit my throat, what? It's like, yeah, you got this, don't worry. So Bogart goes and takes on the head bandit, and Koby and Helmeppo are like, ah! They're, fighting, but I managed they carried the day. Maybe Koby had a rage moment. Koby, after a couple of months of training, he hasn't really gotten to the point where he's at post Denny's lobby yet. He's not at that level yet, but maybe he's just okay, hello, Mr. Bandit. Would you like to come quietly? I'm here to arrest you. And the bandit's just like, what are you doing? He's like, And Koby just starts shutting his eyes and just punching, and he's able to actually hit him pretty decently hard. He gets lucky, hits him in the jaw in the first punch, and he gets rattled and goes down, and Kobe just keeps punching him, and I did it. I did it. Meanwhile, Helmeppo's over there with just a broom, just hitting people in the dick. It's just ow, but it's the best he's got, right? Okay. And so the battle's over, and Helmeppo and Koby are there, and Bogart takes down the head bandit, and he's like, okay, that was cool. And he turns around and just, okay, you guys did it. You did it. You did it. Congratulations. Not everyone's great the first time out being a Marine. You did okay. And Koby and Helmeppo are like, we did it. And the confidence boost from that, I imagine, would have been immense. Guy, we did it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So then I want to learn about that. I also would love to know about their first solo mission, or rather, the first mission that Koby and Helmeppo did together that didn't involve anybody else. Bogart was not there to help them. Garp was not there to help them. What was their first proper mission? And, I'm sure Garp was, curating all this. Let's say, oh, here's another one. Okay, let's say pirates are attacking a town, and Garp and Bogart and everybody's there, and Prince Screws back when they were training and everything like that. They're all there, and they bust up the main pirate force, okay? So, the captain, first mate, they're all taken care of. But let's say there were some stragglers. Let's say, 3 or 4 pirates snuck out of town and ran off. And it's hey, there's another town about, 8 miles down that road. And if they get there, they're just going to, rage and pillage and murder, and that's not cool, okay? So, Koby and Helmeppo, your job is to go and bring those pirates in. No one else is going to help you, okay? Garp and Bogart and everybody has to stay behind. Koby and Helmeppo, this is your first mission, just by yourselves. You got this, okay? And then maybe at this point, maybe they've they've went up the ranks a little bit. They're no longer Zatsuyos. Maybe they're Siemens or something. And they're okay, sure, we could do this. And then they chase down the pirates, and then they win. Little stuff. And all the while this is going on, Luffy's having his adventures with the Straw Hats in the East, and then eventually into the Grand Line, and slowly but surely they get stronger and tougher, and they get promoted. I would also like to learn about, Koby learning the Rokushiki techniques. Haki comes a little bit later for Koby. Koby knew about Haki, but he didn't really unlock that power until Marineford. Helmeppo didn't unlock it until a little bit later as well, but he does have it. And then Marineford itself, the build up to Marineford, because remember, from the time that Koby went to go and join the Marines at Shellstown all the way up to Marineford, that was less than a year, okay? That wasn't a whole year from that point on, okay? So maybe 10 months at maximum, I'm thinking. So if there's something like that going on, he had to really get tough in that 10-month time period, and so the build up to that would also be a really key important story point, And then after the time skip, of course, we have Rocky Port, which we haven't really explored so much, but Koby apparently went right up against Wang Ji there. I mean, maybe it wasn't Koby directly versus Wang, but still, it would have been a cool fight. But no, Koby was declared a hero during the Rocky Port for saving civilians. Okay, that's the whole point there. And then over the time skip, Koby just kind of improved working the battleship bags to the point where in the last chapter, he was able to destroy Avala Pizarro's giant fist, okay? So that's the one good thing you got to think about when it comes to the One Piece world's logic, all right? It's even if you're a chubby, out of shape kid in the One Piece universe, okay? If you just have enough will, and if you just don't give up, and you just keep punching a battleship over and over and over again, what happens? Makes you tough, makes you strong, makes you built like a damn truck, and it gives you superpowers. That's the lesson you gotta learn. And you know what? In the One Piece world, it's silly because, like, you know, in our world, right? Like, if you're lifting weight that's a little bit too heavy for you, that can actually hurt you. That could severely wound you if you're lifting. Like, if I go out and try to, like, bench press 400 pounds, that's not gonna work well for me. But no. In the One Piece world, it does. In the One Piece world, I go out and lift up 400 pounds, like, all right, this really hurts. Yeah, it hurts. Even if you hurt yourself, though, you get stronger and stronger and stronger every single day. Keep lifting it until eventually you get to the point where you unlock hockey. That's how it goes, okay? And thank God it is, because Koby could basically just keep getting stronger and stronger, sneaking out every night, overworking himself, punching a battleship. Eventually you get armament hockey. And you know what? It does make sense in the One Piece world, because hockey's literal translation is will or ambition, you know? So, and that's an overall theme of the entire story. Like, Oda really goes ham when it comes to that, okay? Like, will and the inherited wills and your own personal willpower. Like, Luffy has willpower. Like, Luffy's willpower has literally saved him on so many occasions. It's also a very common anime trope in general. You know, you have enough willpower, you can get back up even after you got beaten down. You got your kidney gouged out of you or something. Doesn't matter. If you have enough willpower, you get back up and fight. And you know what? Some of it can be cheesy. Some of it can be cheesy for sure. You know, it's just like, this is so you know, like, oh, this is so unrealistic. This is not how this would go down in real life. But I don't know. It's like, if you read enough manga, if you watch enough anime, and the writing has to be good as well, but there's certain times in certain fiction where that willpower shtick happens, and it kind of gets you pumped up. It kind of gets you like, oh, okay, you do it, Koby. You work hard. You keep punching that battleship. Yeah, all right. You know, and then he gets strong enough to punch out an entire mountain. So there we go, right? Was anybody, by the way, like, seriously surprised that Koby had that level of power? I think I mentioned it in the review that we saw in the episode of Luffy OVA. Koby was already capable of punching apart like a giant metal disc. Like, it wasn't really all that crazy that Koby would also be capable of leveling a mountain, especially after he's been trained by Garp for the last 2+ years, okay? Now, if Helmeppo did that, I'd be a little more like, oh, wow, Helmeppo was capable of that? But, dude, Koby has been working every single hour of, like, every single day for, like, the last 2.5 years at this. And he even said as much. He said, look, back when he was, you know, not scrawny, he was a little bit of an overweight kid. He was like, you know, it's like, I'm not as strong as other people are. I'm actually weaker than the average person. I need to work even 100 times as hard, 200 times as hard in order to get there, okay? You know what I also like to think about? Spondum, who's, like, weaker than an average Marine soldier. If Spondum had enough willpower and ambition, if he trained as hard, he could get to that level too. It's kind of like everything on the book in One Piece. You know, even if you have a scrawny kind of person that's not really good for anything like Spondum, if he really, really, really worked at it, he could be really powerful. Same thing with Buggy. Buggy, I mean, he's God, but if Buggy worked really hard at his chop fruit, he could awaken it. He could go to the next level. He might be able to be a level of a Yonko if he really, really, really worked at it, okay? And they just don't, you know? And so that's kind of like an overall message here that we're talking about with One Piece, okay? But yeah, who was, like, genuinely surprised by that? Because I was not, right? Dude, I don't know where we're going with this now. If it's like at some point Koby's going to meet up with the Straw Hats and, like, the two stories are going to coalesce. And it makes sense if that did happen because Garp is Luffy's grandpa. So it's like maybe Koby and Luffy team up and it's like, let's go save Garp. And Luffy's like, okay. And then they go. It could be something like that. Or we might have, like, you know, we go back to Egghead right now. We focus on the Straw Hats for a little while. But then we do another 10 chapters or so without the Straw Hats, and those 10 chapters might be focused on Koby as the protagonist going and saving his master. Because Garp is not dead, and if you think Garp is dead, you don't know Garp, all right? So I'm not really sure which direction we're going to go with it. Honestly, I think it would make the most sense for Oda to keep the stories like, yeah, I mean, okay, in this instance, Garp is related to Luffy, so it would make sense if Luffy found out about this, if they saw the paper after the events of Egghead, Robin reads the newspaper and tells Luffy, like, hey, your grandpa got captured. Luffy might have the reaction of, like,
he's grandpa, he'll be fine. Or he might be, because he lost Ace, he might be like, all right, we got to go save him, we got to go see what's up, and then maybe Koby will come and help him. So in that case, it makes sense. But not everything has to come back to the Straw Hats. Not every plot thread has to intersect with the Straw Hats at some point. Like, I still don't know the whole situation with, like, Eam and Dragon and the Gorosei at Marijois. Like, I really don't see any way the Straw Hats are going to directly get involved with, like, fighting Eam or something. It might happen. Just right now, it makes more sense for that. That's Dragon and the Revolutionary story. Tangentially, it might connect back to the Straw Hats, but, like, they don't have to be involved in that. And it seems like the One Piece world that Oda crafted is just so massive that, like, for the Straw Hats to be involved in every single major plot beat, that alone is kind of, like, strains credulity. You know what I mean? You get to that level with it. But, yeah, there's a lot of different ways Oda could go about this. And maybe if it's, like, once a year, we like, all right, after Egghead, we're going to take another 10-chapter break from the Straw Hats to focus on other stuff. Then we'll go back to them, and then we go back to the rest of the world. Honestly, if that was the way it went with the final saga, I'd be okay with it, because Oda has been working on this world-building shtick for, like, 26 years now at this point. So I'm okay with that, absolutely.
Something else very critical that we learned during this little mini arc at Hachinosu was Koby's sense of justice. Now, he didn't actually give it a name, but I like to call it honest justice, and that's the best way to really describe it, okay? Koby is like the second most lawful good Marine that I have ever seen in this story. Number one, of course, being Travis D-Boner T-Bone! And you know what? Now with T-Bone gone, still the loss is heavy on all of our hearts, but now with T-Bone gone, Koby, I think, is the single most lawful good moral Marine out of the whole bunch. All right. Now, that's not to say all other Marines are like, like a Kainu level. But, on the morality scale, if you're going the most lawful good with it, I think Koby's there. Koby is literally naming his attacks like honesty impact, goodwill kick, altruism headbutt. Like he's like naming his attack, humanitarian spinning attack. Yeah, I don't know. He's like, that's literally, look, that's one of those things with One Piece that's kind of goofy, cheesy, but I love it because it makes sense for Koby. Koby's looking at the state of the Marines, and maybe he even realizes, like, the Marines are really corrupted, especially when he sees somebody like a Kainu, right? And he's like, all right, a Kainu, and now Kuzan defected, and now, oh my god, and then he might see what's up with the world government even more so, and Koby's like, I want to be a shining light for the Marines. I want to be true to myself. I want to be the kind of Marine that I want to believe in kind of situation, right? And so Koby is always true to himself. He believes in who he is, and he's not going to change depending, no matter what the rank he has. It doesn't matter if he's a chore boy or a captain or the fleet admiral of the whole damn shebang. He is going to be Koby through and through no matter what, all right? And that would be honestly the kind of person that the current Gorosei would hate to be a fleet admiral, right? Because it's just like, oh no, he's too syrupy, sweet, lawful good. He's like, nah, he's going to try to, like, change the Marines and make it all better, and like, nah, we're not doing that, right? But by the end of the story, the Tenryubito are going to be removed, the Gorosei are going to be removed, the world government and the Marines will still be organizations, the infrastructure will still be there, and I like to think that maybe by the end of, like by the time Koby's, like, in his 40s and 50s, he will be an admiral. Maybe eventually he will be promoted to fleet admiral. In fact, I could probably see that that makes the most sense eventually. But he'll definitely harken in a new age in the Marines and all that stuff. But like I said, it is kind of, like, cringy a little bit. He's like, honesty impact, but, like, you know what? He's being true to himself, Don't stop being who you are, Koby, Because there's a lot of other Marines out there. Like, look at that group of Marines that were attacking the old lady at Sphinx Island. Sphinx Island when, they stormed the place after Marco went to Wano. And they're like, where's Whitebeard's treasure? We want to find it. And there's that Ratten dude, the rat dude that's like the brother of Nezumi or whatever. He's like, old lady, if you don't tell me where the money is that Whitebeard left here, I'm going to, put a freaking bullet in your face. And the old lady's like, we don't have anything here, sir. Those kind of Marines are out there doing that shit. So Koby being a genuinely good person, I give him an applause. Applause to Captain Koby. Yes. Now, you would say he would get a promotion after this. However, he is an official part of SWORD, which means he's an unofficial Marine, which means he's effectively turned in his resignation. after Dragon's Revolution, I think all of this is going to be cleared up, okay? The only reason Sword needs to exist right now is because that's the Marines' way of working outside of the government because of how corrupted the government can be and like that bureaucratic red tape and everything. And so there has to be another segment of the Marines that can do their own thing that has to be done, like fighting the Yonko. So that's the reason Sword exists. But after Dragon's Revolution occurs, the Tenryubito, the Gorosei are removed, the world government is restructured and everything like that. After that point, all of the Marines could effectively be Sword. They will fight the way that needs to be fought. They will fight that fight without listening to the higher-ups in that way, okay? And I shouldn't say that, like, that setup is completely pointless because there is a reason for it. There's the balance of powers that currently exists, but then again, that balance of powers might have been artificially created by the world government and Eam like 800 years ago. Like, Eam might have wanted like the Yonko to exist, to like have this balance of power to like distract the rest of the world of what's really going on. And at the end of the day, Eam still is living the high life, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, do you think Eam cares about Yonko? Do you think Eam cares about some revolution, you know, whatever. As long as Eam gets to live in the ivory castle, who cares, right? So maybe this was all planned from day one, right? Well, after all of that's taken care of and all that's destroyed, the balance of power collapses. There might not be Yonko anymore. You know, there's no need for the SSG anymore. There probably will always be pirates, but like I'm just saying, like the whole way this world is going to be structured, like literally you understand by the end of One Piece, the red line might collapse and the whole geography of the whole planet might shift, which is going to change everything because geography is everything. You know that, right? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, getting kind of off topic here, kind of moving back to endgame level stuff. Koby and Hibari. What do you think about that? Koby and Hibari, where are the stocks on that? I think it's rising pretty high right now. I would definitely put some money on the Koby Hibari. You know what? I think I would wager God Usopp's entire bounty on Koby and Hibari getting together. All right, I think it's going to happen. I think I would even wager Luffy's bounty that Hibari is Akainu's daughter, and then we can have that whole fun little moment of them getting married and Akainu in the background like, you know? So that's something really goofy and funny that I would love to see realized in the story. Absolutely there. But yeah, that's my really scattershotted Koby video. Just my Koby appreciation post for the week. Hope you all enjoyed this. And yeah, now let's end it out with some of the most honest, noble creatures on this planet. Let's do whale facts, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so today we got some miscellaneous whale facts here, and we're going to end it out with the lead-in to another big whale fact next time, okay? I'll do this. I'll just, like, look up a bunch of random facts, and one fact will lead to a bigger fact, and it'll be like, oh, okay. So let's talk about humpback whales a little bit here. So humpback whales, as you probably know, they eat a lot of krill, right? You ever see Shark Tales? You know, that was a good movie. Anyway, so whales, they have their teeth that are like bristles, and they kind of, like, sift the water out, and then the krill, and that's how they kind of eat and everything like that. Well, humpback whales actually go about half the year or so, about 5 to 6 months a year, without eating anything. They just literally live off of their fat, their blubber reserves, okay, while they're hanging out in tropical waters. Well, no, I don't know if they go to the tropical waters or they go to Antarctica. They travel one of those locations to mate. I think they spend most of their time probably in the Antarctic and then go to tropical waters to mate and then go back to the Antarctic. It might be flipped. But yeah, there's a little fact about humpbacks is they only have to eat krill like, you know, 5 months out of the year or so, and the rest of the year they just survive off their fat. Some whales utilize a thing called bubble net feeding, and this is something that's fascinating to me. So whales, when they see their prey, you know, like fish or krill or whatever they're hunting, they will spit like bubbles out of their mouths or blowholes, I guess, and then they'll create like a chain of bubbles, right? And the fish won't go past that bubble net. So they're literally effectively using their own nets to catch the fish. And the fish will see the bubble net, and I guess they would be able to swim right through it. It's just bubbles, but they choose not to. And like, oh, they're thin, and then the whales will eat them. So there you go. And then finally, what we're going to lead into next time is killer whales or orcas. They are actually not whales. They are dolphins, but they're usually, you know, grouped in with whales. And, you know, when else? So we did dinosaur facts for letter D. So we're going to be talking about orcas next time. Free Willy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Teching, signing out. Laters.